It's a great pleasure. This is the 10th episode of Basketball Insights, and in the 10th episode of Basketball Insights, we wanted really to call a person who has really a amount of experience, and I think we did great job. And thank you very much, Dr. Laszlo Nemeth, that you was accepting our invitation for Basketball Insights. Well, just about Laszlo, we can say that he was working in several countries as a club coach, also was national team head coach in Iceland, in Great Britain, and also Kuwait. And also we will touch what kind of connection he has with NBA head coaches, with Nurse and Finch. And also in the second part, we will little talking about it, more educational topics, what was great in the last episode with Stella Qadsia. And I think coaches and players, you need to listen us until the end of the podcast because you will get a lot of experience from Laszlo. Laszlo, I have a question for you. Who was influencing you to start to be a basketball player in Hungary? We can say for our viewers that you were born in 1951. So in 1951, Hungary was a great powerhouse in basketball in Europe, because we can say on the men's side was winning several European medals on the Eurobasket. Also, the women national team was winning several medals on the Eurobasket. So how was the first start, the first steps that you wanted to go for a basketball training?
First of all, greetings to everybody. And I'm also pleased and honored by your invitation, especially, Southern Slavia in Europe, let's call it now. At my time, it was Yugoslavia. However, all those traditions and how big they grew influenced a lot in basketball and currently influencing basketball as well. So it is an exceptional honor to be with you and talk to you and hopefully you guys. Obviously, I coached basketball in nations which could be considered now as minnows. But when we're going to be talking about experience and coaching pathways, then we certainly will talk about that how those pathways changed through the years. Okay, so let's get down to your first question. My parents actually met on a basketball court, and my mother played at Franz Happ basketball team, who was at the time or currently the only Hungarian who is in the Hall of Fame in Springfield. And that family connection was very close. I mean, Francis Happ, mother, tutored me in mathematics while I was a secondary school student. Her name was Heinisch, and actually the Happ family's original name was Heinisch, but due to the German origin, there was at the time when he had to change the family name. And that's a kind of early sign, how politics always influences sport and your life. Quite interestingly, the friendship with the family remained. Francis Happ, daughter, was my dentist. His son, who was a FIBA Medical Commission member, was also a close friend of mine. So that's a family connection. And of course, my parents both played basketball. So when I started to be able to think about sport in general, then that influenced me and interest in that sport. But the parents were very strict. And they said, first of all, you learn swim. You learn how to swim because for a young person, due to life uh, that's a very important thing, that you are a competent swimmer. So that was the very first. And from then, of course, I swam into basketball. And I swam into basketball very early. When I started and I grabbed the first basketball, there were no mini basket at that time, not even in the States.
Only
So,
one size.
so you can realize that that 1951 birthday means, like an ancient Egyptian mummy. So here we go.
And we can say for our viewers why you are saying that you have really big respect to Yugoslavian basketball. Because when I started to play in Hungary, many older people came to me and they were asking me about the Yugoslavian players. And then I was surprised, and they told me that we were able, so those people who were winning in the south of Hungary, they were able somehow with antenna to catch the, let's say, the Serbian national television, and what kind of things they were, that they were following Dražen Petrovic, Kicanovic, and other big players. So how was for you, because you are from, we can say that you was in Budapest, like how you was able to follow maybe the Yugoslavian basketball in that time?
Well, of course, the major source at the time was the printed press. And on top of it, I spoke languages as a very young person. So I came out from the secondary school that I already spoke Russian and English. So in basketball, that was very crucial. And when I started to coach my first real professional team on a Premier Division at the age of 27, I looked for connections. So among them, Ranko Žeravica was visiting my club and my training sessions, and I had a little conversation. Of course, him and me was like planet Mars from the Earth, but of course, these meets are inspirational. And when the borders started to be more passable, then of course I started to go to European Championships, international clinics, and there were always from the coaches from the previous Yugoslavia. These bloody things with so many new countries now. But let's put it on this way: in historical perspective, that's Yugoslavia what I'm talking about, and maybe I'm not politically correct, but the current nations of the previous Yugoslavia benefited from that one single basketball culture, which was built up there, and of course was very different to the Spanish and the Italian, because it was Spain, Italy, Soviet Union, Yugoslavia. That was the big quartet. And a little bit later on started Germany, so, but funny thing, and I know Pesic as well. So when you see Germany, who pops in? Do you mind? Pesic. And then Henrik Detman from Finland. So, as I said, historical pathway means when the borders started to be less strict, basketball philosophy started to influence each other.
Well, if we are here because we have a lot of viewers from the former Yugoslavian countries, we can say, for example, for our viewers, that how you mentioned you was learning from Ranko Žeravica, but also we can say that before Yugoslavia was learning, for example, from Hungary, because we were learning in the faculty that Kamaraš Ivan was coming to Yugoslavia and was holding lectures for our coaches, because in that time Hungary was much better for results than Yugoslavia. And we can say for our viewers that in Serbian basketball and in other countries also, there is a Hungarian word because of it, and this is the word horog. So this is the hook shot. This is a Hungarian word, and I'm 100% sure that maybe Kamarash Ivan was something showing, and maybe because we not had our own word, we were picking up. And also interesting, for example, when I start to work as a basketball coach in Hungary, for me was an interesting that in Hungary when saying zitzer, this is the layup. But when we are saying zitzer in Serbia, that is that we need to score from close to the hoop. This was maybe also one misunderstood in these lectures. It can happen because it's funny that the same word means something else. And we from Serbia, we understand that the word zitzer is not coming from our vocabulary, so it is going somewhere from abroad. And let's now say for our viewers why you was deciding to be a basketball coach.
I played. I played in Hungary on a reasonable high level, so Premier Division, and but I was not. Let's put it on this way: I was not a bad player. I was a good player, but not an exceptional player. So, as per today, if you want to be on the top flock, you must be exceptional. To be good, that's not enough. But I didn't know at that time. You guys played, so you know your own player ego is always bigger than the coach's ego, and you always think that you are better than really. And I was no different as a player. So I used to score like 10, 12 points per game, which means you are a support player. I mean, today's mind, I look back to myself, and I often used to say, students, I wouldn't coach myself. So the of this demand for more court time and everything, it was like a pressure cooker inside. The And then my coach, and I'm very grateful today to him, at that time it was a shock, called me and said, listen, you see the solution, but you have a limit of physical abilities to execute your solution. Why you don't start a little bit committed more into basketball coaching? And when I went home, that was a shock, to be honest. That was a shock. It's not nice from an already top flight athlete to get that message to the face that you are not good enough, virtually. So it took a little time to digest. But after that, I realized that, okay, he was very good to me. He liked me overall and really supported me all the way. And he was my teacher at the university. So I decided, okay, I take it on board rather than resisting, because that's the other path. There as a young player you can go. You start to resist, which leads to conflict, which then you have to leave. So, okay, I took on board. I understood that he wants good to me. And advice to future young coaches, that's a crossroad where you have to be really stand in front of the mirror, talk to yourself, and then take a path. The second, when you are very young at the beginning, learn languages. The disadvantage of Hungarians, some extent Russians, but even the previous Yugoslavia, is that the language for the rest of the world is impenetrable. So you have to come up and communicate with them. English, in my case, I speak Russian quite well. So that was Another thing, what I look back at the beginning, as young as you are, be ready to build up your network internationally. Especially now, this digital age is amazing.
Big help. Big help. We can say for our viewers, for example, that what you said that in your time, it was a big advantage if you was coming from a big basketball country and you had some great recommendations from big coaches. But today, the digital world also helping for us to make networks, also to show ourselves. And now I would love to say for our viewers the next that why I was waiting very much this talk with Dr. Laszlo Nemeth. I will saying why. When I started to work in abroad, then I realized how this hard to get a chance and to work. And now I would love to say that Dr. Laszlo Nemeth is for me pioneer for Hungarian basketball coaches who worked in abroad and really made great results in every his station where he worked. Now, Laszlo, I would love to know because you said like language is very important, but I think not just only the language was helping for you, that you are starting to work in Al Qadsia, and also later you was the head coach of the Kuwait national team. How was hard from Hungary to get this position, and how was hard for you to change and to adapt for the mentality of your players because the Middle East is much different than Hungary in that time?
Correct. Uh, let's go back again a little bit of the coaching past. So I was coaching in Hungary in a Premier Division with a team which I took as a 27 years old. They were fighting against relegation and survival. I was there for 7 years. Ended up as national cup winner, bronze medal, silver medal. So all the awards what needed, but it took 7 years. On the 7 years, I I mentioned you learning, networking, professional development at the time, let's say the prehistoric internet time. Okay, there were the international clinics, there were gatherings, printed materials. So I've been okay. I saw Mirko Novosel. All my money, saved money, is to go there to his clinic and listen to it. Okay, then clinic in Olympia, Athens. I pay and I gonna go there. And of course, you listen to coaches. So, and on Italy, first time I met Bobby Knight, whom my life crossed later on, and I was there to go there. Usually at break time, lunchtime, that's the real thing when a young coach is there to ask, because there are plenty of experienced coaches were sitting in the audience, not just down there lecturing. And then you are 20 something years old and you have questions, but you are not there to stand up and say, because what will happen, all those coaches from La Liga and from Italy will say, what this jackass young coach, what a stupid question, so you have some kind of but then comes the break time, the lunch time, the coffee time, the afternoon fun and whatever. So then you go there and you then there to ask. And usually they were very positive responding. So then also I gained confidence. People don't think that you are stupid because you are asking this and this and that. And one of these international kennel clinics, it was in Olympia, at Olympia, Greece. We were there for 1 week. Olympic Solidarity organized that. And there were a lot of chats, international things. And and the Americans invited me to the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, which was, from Hungary's point of view, quite today those athletes are sad, and because the women team qualified for Los Angeles. And then comes the bloody politics again and the boycott. Still they are hurt. Still, when they are talking about it, they are in tears because South Korea took their place and won the bronze medal on women basketball. Anyway, they invited me. They provided tickets and a lot of things, and I already had a mentor who asked me to a little bit assist with Germany. So there I met with again a lifetime friend, Mr. Dravic, who was with Yugoslavia at the
Yes,
time.
Janez Drvaric.
Correct. So you say, okay, here I am, and then suddenly somebody stepped to me and says, I know you. Well, okay. From where? From Greece, and we were sitting and talking, and I'm from Kuwait, from the Al Qadsia club, and I discussed with the leadership, and we would like to offer you a contract in our country. Okay, I said, but I already made commitment with one of my mentor. This name certainly means something for you, Lou Carnaseka from St. John's University, not recently passed away, who had an outstanding record. So I went to him, spent some time, again learned, and then I thought, okay, I had a grasp on Hungary. I got the medals, what needed, a national title, what needed. So I have to move on. And I accepted that contract. And then an extremely successful period came, 4 national championships, 3 golf championship. They also have a regional, like it's called the GCC League, Gulf Cooperation Council, which is Bahrain, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia. So those Oman, those countries. And of course, a new culture. So you start, and the cultural shocks are coming to you. So I started, of course, the resources were almost unlimited to work. So here we go. Let's start the sessions. Let's start the session on that kind of European way, and then you realize that this not gonna work. On a very first training session is still in front of me, when I roll in, and there are plenty of Cadillacs and whatever, and I thought, the leadership came to see my session. No, they were the players. So, okay, here we go. Then you come with that mentality, what you learned there, that physicality is the basic and pushing. And then they call tea break on during the session. So, then comes the religion, then praying time during the session. So the very first thing, there were a couple of Olympic champions in other sports who were coaching, like from different nations, water polo, handball, So I went to them and asked practical questions, how to structure the whole scenario that you still can smuggle in your ideas, what fits. So I started to buy the so-called Arab Times, the daily newspaper, which indicated when are the praying times. And because the facilities was available, so I always put the training session that praying times does not interrupt. Not everybody was religious and praying, but if somebody says, they indicate their 2 hands putting up, I need to pray, you as a foreign coach, by no means should touch religious issues. So everybody goes to his own church. and I always kept this. Then there were many other things which had to adjust, and somehow success is always brings the players trust, and because we won championships in a row, and that brought them on board, and I'm still in touch with them, and it is also the next step what I did. Well, okay, this is a different religion. I cannot touch the religion. I came from a very different background, but I have to understand the social environment and the beliefs. So I bought the Quran in English and I read it through. I don't say that I agree with it, make no mistake, but started to find out things what many of my well qualified American coaches, but they were fired very quickly. Okay. So, all right, then I got it. So at the end, I spent there 4 years. After the successes, they appointed me as national team coach, and then when the 4 years expired, and a lot of trophies was collected, then I definitely wanted to come back to Europe because everybody in Europe looks that as okay, he's making money.
Yes.
What I needed also, and I'm still grateful for the Arabs because as a young coach, I could establish a financial independency.
And that is very important in coaching, very important financial
I
independence.
always used to say to my young coaches, fellas, freedom of speech is a great thing, but you need a good bank account for that.
Yes. Yes.
So hold on for a second. If you are on a head-on collision with a president in a European club, and you really see that I'm dealing with a jackass, then you must have a good bank account to talk back,
Yes.
or compromise against your principles. That's the two-way.
Yes.
So I am still grateful for the Arabs. They provided me that independence, what I needed, and that also boosted my stability and confidence on the beliefs. Okay.
Yes, this for to say for our viewers, this we were talking about previous episodes also that in abroad is very interesting. If you are showing for your players that you are interested for them, that was a great step for me. What you said that their Quran, you started to learn how they are thinking, to understand them. This I was learning also in abroad, and I am always trying this to use. Even when I am entering to one club, I know the history of the club, when the city established, when the country. This is always good to show, and also nice if you are trying to learn their language. Of course, Arab language is very hard, but when somebody is working in a country where the language is a little easier, then it's a nice way that you are showing that at least you know few words or something to react on the basketball training. And I was appreciated that you was also saying for us this, because this is very important, is a key factor to work in abroad for basketball coaches. And then after you are going again to a specific country, to Scandinavia, to the club KR in Iceland, and also you became also there the national team head coach of Iceland. How was this? Because now you was learning one mentality in the Middle East, and now you are coming back to Scandinavia. I was working, for example, in Denmark. I know that for me, I'm saying my experience first time when I was there, I was little feeling interesting that the people were little, how say, little colder with me, little closed in the beginning. And how was the time going? they were little know what kind of person I am, and the results were coming. Then step by step, they started more to communicate with me. How was this, for example, for you in Iceland, and how you was able to make there also great results?
Geographical sauna, and of course, when you are in Kuwait and in the Middle East, and you want to come back to Europe, there is the honey trap, the money trap. You know that, especially when you are successful. I saw it on many fellow American coaches mainly, that, oh, one more year extension because I want to buy a boat. Oh, one more year extension because I want to buy a hut in Colorado, husband. I want this and I want that. And then you suddenly there 15 years and there is no way to come back to Europe and or to North America. Okay, so I realized that fact, and I said I want to go back to Europe. And again, I was in one internet. I didn't stop going to international clinics in Europe while I was down in the Middle East. So I spent the money to fly, and on one clinic, I was in one room together with Mr. Einar Bollason, who was from Iceland. And out of the blue came a letter asking me that it's not an offense. We cannot pay you as much as down in the Middle East, but would you consider to come up here, because the club K are sunk to the seventh place in the championship, but to provide you a decent wage, if you would take the club and the national team together, we would appreciate it. So please consider this as a first step and request. And I said, okay, yes. And I flew up to Zurich to meet with them. Among them, Kristin Albertsson, who is now the president of the Icelandic Basketball Association. He was a young referee at the time, and the delegation members. And I straightforward agreed, because I wanted my professional development. And okay, let's go. And I was, okay, we'll do something. Of course, Iceland was underdogs. When I arrived there, I saw the club first, as a team where over 40 people having a nice beer and just exercising a little bit instead of the fitness club. So all right, clear out young players from the junior team in, who were immediately surprised because they were always waiting that these 40 plus years old go voluntarily. And then I said, okay, Yugoslavian way, out to the track court. And that was a shock to the system, and that was an amateur team. So again, you face a challenge that you want some kind of professional methods to put into the absolute amateur circumstances, where you deal with students, where you deal with young adults who just finished education and start their first job, and that's equally important for them to keep that job. And then you want training every day. Oh, what better shooting 6 o'clock in the morning an hour, and then you go to school. So that was a massive shock to the system. And at that time, there were no foreign players as well. Okay, so, all right, first year, bang, silver medal. But, and again, young coaches, you have to think what kind is implemented for the. I realize that these young people are not the most talented ones. And there are teams which are scoring 100 points plus. And I said, well, defense wins the game, offense sells the ticket. So come on, physical training to the teeth, and defense like in Yugoslavia, I always used to say to them, push them out to the toilet. Okay. So started to work on that. And the first year, it was a silver medal. Okay. And national team at the time, we played with Luxembourg, Malta, San Marino, Andorra. And I said, well, when I saw, because their work ethic was very good, Scandinavian work ethic is excellent.
Yes, that I agree with you.
So, okay, then it was called Games of the Small Nations. You know, the European system at that time was different. So, okay, Games of the Small Nations, but there were Cyprus, there were Ireland, there were some really reasonably good. So same thing applied. Video analysis, which was very unknown for them. Of course, comparing today, it was quite primitive. You know, I brought my very own camera and played and forwarded and backwarded. But anyway, we won the Small Nation Cup, so we advanced to the Real Big Boys Club. And next year they said, okay, you guys can have one foreign player each team. And again, in young coaches, listen to me. Again, you're networking. I immediately called the Soviet Union connection, Zurab Kromayev at Budevelnik. At that time, it was Troicha, Kiev. And he says, well, from the Soviet Union to go abroad, now the discussion going on with Marchilonis, but it's not easy. But I talked to Gomeski, okay? Talked to Gomeski, blah, blah, blah. So I got Anatoly Kovtun from the USSR national team, left-handed, 2'5". You know, that we are always looking for. Big guy who can handle the ball. On top of it, left-handed. Oh, give me the meal. And we got him, and then we won a championship. And we won a championship, and just what I'm telling you about, again, to young coaches, not to you guys, because you're experienced enough, that it's not the best talent. I have to play defense. So I won the championship in Iceland with a team. Only one team scored less basket than the champion, who was relegated. We were the second from the bottom in offensive scoring, but won the championship. And we had about 16 games, less than 3-point win. Now, looking back again, it was damn boring basketball.
Yeah.
But the club supporters loved it because we are back to the top again. Okay. So then came the Korach Cup. You remember that?
Yes.
In Europe.
We can say like former Eurocup, we can say, for our viewers.
So, okay, Korach Cup, and the club looked at me, Korach Cup, international, we never. I said, okay, it's the time to go. Gone, and we got the British. And I still have it. The British came to play in Reykjavik and play after in London. Anyway, they lost in Reykjavik, but okay, 4 point, no big deal. So we arrived to Britain, and I see they always print program before the matches. And I see they printed that our next opponent is Orthez from France, which previous year won the Korach Cup.
Uh-huh.
So I took that, went into the locker room, opened it up, and instead of talking a lot about tactics, you know, again, you have to use psychology as well, wind them up. And I knew, you see now the Norwegians on the football, right?
Yes.
Winded them up. Come on, Vikings! What an insult! Blah blah blah. So we won in London as well. Again comes the reality to your face. And I said, well, now we play Ortez, and Ortez comes to Reykjavik. What a big deal. And then the leadership comes. We don't have the money to fly down to France. Nobody was expected that you go to the next round. So you can imagine, I was devastated.
Yeah.
I was devastated. And I said, this is wrong, and blah, blah, blah. And so they sold the home game right. And we flew down to France to play with Ortez, both games there. The first game was a very close, but a loss. The second one, they blew us away. So that was it. Then I felt that here is the limit. Here is the limit, because, as I said, you always have to be truthful to yourself. I felt this is the limit. It was not a big financial deal, and the Arabs were always after me. So I got an amazing offer to the United Arab Emirates, what was difficult to refuse, to be honest.
From a line.
Plus in Iceland, it was much more of draining my reserves. But it was good because my daughter was at the U.S. Embassy School, where it's only 6 students per class. So there were a lot of benefits. Your benefits at the job, not just only the salary. There are many other things, because we need stable family backgrounds, because after games, after training sessions, we go home as our head is full with different things. So, okay, I accepted that, and I got the weakest team of my life in the Emirates. But in the first year, suddenly we became bronze medalist. And then again, politics, the Gulf War came.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was there, you had to hand in your passport, and they didn't give it back. So we couldn't leave, because the political means were that as many foreigners are in there on a conflict zone, more countries are politically drawn into the conflict.
Yeah.
So I was paid. I was living in luxury for 2 years. One full year, players were drafted to the army as well. Okay, they didn't fight really, but that was it. Americans came in, so at least the Americans came and they said, okay, can we play basketball? And they were quite decent basketball to play as recreational. And when everything went on, I was called back to Iceland. But that was very short, because the British, at the time when we kicked them out, there was somebody from Sport England sitting on a stands, and they said, how many people lives in Iceland? Really? 300,000? And so bring this guy in. So they bought out my contract, and I ended up in Britain as solely national team coach. And that lasted 10 years, which is, you guys know basketball. Being national team coach for 10 years,
it's a big respect for you.
From everywhere.
It's unique.
Yeah, and that's that was a period when we came up on the nation's ranking. But again, political life. I am arriving in Britain, and I tell them, from the European experience and from the coaches, national team should have to training sessions regularly, once every 2 weeks for 1 day. League and club should suspend activities. National team players should be released, and in London. Now you can imagine an independent league. Wow, But they said, okay, this is why we hired him. Let's give him a go. And that started work. At the very first training session, there were only 5 players. Rest was totally lost hope, and because of the chaos. And here we go. Okay, we trained regularly. We started, and then they say, "What you need?" And I said, "Well, we must host a qualification round." Again, oh well, we don't used to spend such amount of money hosting a qualification round. But again, somebody said, okay, we hired him for that. Let's go. But tell him if he doesn't qualify, then that's about it for him. So we had a qualification round in Birmingham, Poland, Georgia. So some big boys turned up, and we qualified on the second place. So virtually the first challenges survived. Then again comes the politics. I'm sure you know the Bosman ruling.
Yes.
Now, suddenly, you have a squad, you have already regular training session, you qualified, you as a coaches have big hopes. Overnight, only one single player remained in England. The rest ended up Italy, Greece, Spain, France, and my jaw dropped. So, what I will do? Okay, so again, a new challenge, again to think through how do you practice, how you know, there were European games when we met at Frankfurt Airport. So it was a very difficult mission. And looking back now, we always lost the first game. You know, when we get together from
Yes.
from Europe, from the States,
First training, the first game.
no matter whom you play. You know, Switzerland beat us. Then, okay, we are together training. Then we win against Slovenia. You understand? So you are in the middle of thing when you know what you should do and what you do, but the objective circumstances doesn't allow. And that's what I met with that first. The players said to me, "Coach, the job. You understand? They thought about the club in Greece, in Italy, or whatever, as a job. So again, if you go back to the traditional Yugoslavia, when the people or in Hungary, oh, my fate, my heart with the club for years. And you know, when somebody wanted to change after 8, 9 years in one club, that was an uproar that, oh, why he's leaving. Now,
Yeah.
faced with it, they say, oh, coach, my job in Greece, you know, my job, I mean, national team doesn't pay. So, so again, you have to manage and try to sail. And of course, 10 years, you know, the press is on your face. I mean, you coach guys, you know,
Yeah.
they doesn't want to hear that how nicely you trained, everybody is good, everybody is in shape, and they want some controversy because they want to sell the paper. Now they want more clicks. So bang. So our interest is quite different. But you still have to manage a PR thing. And I always say later on, you know, we shall talk about coach education. I again saying to the young coaches, no matter what age group, but coaching a national team is a different job than coaching a club. And then even within a club, you have two different jobs. If the club is amateur, is different, then the club is professional. That's also a different approach required. So suddenly,
But this is your quality that you was recognizing, and you was able to swim in these hard, let's say, lakes. How to say for you?
so suddenly you are talking about basketball coaching, and there are three entirely different type of jobs which requires different human qualities and preparation. And at the end of the day, there are the players. So your students used to ask me, but coach, how is it? How can I prepare for things? And I always say them, you must know the books of basketball, select the chapter. The player just need to know the chapter. You teach the chapter, but it doesn't mean that you don't know the rest of the book, because the next time you have to grab another chapter and implement those things. So, and of course, coaching national team, again, communication skill, understanding, so going down, and it happened to Dusko Ivanovic, and ask him that, come on, Dusko, and he is in Spain and whatever, and release that English player. And you know him, he's not a piece of butter. And get the common understanding over a malt whiskey that please release for that limited period, because it's on my survival. So as my colleague finally understood, so you need to find a tone with your colleagues. Your colleague is not your enemy. He is paddling on the same boat. Maybe the problem's just different. Okay.
Yes. Well, I didn't want to stop you at Scandinavia when you start to talk about England. Just to say for our viewers that we coaches has to learn from our players. And about Scandinavia working ethic, what you said, I was learning besides something else. So, for example, when I was working there, they are saying for me how many players are in the roster, and then I'm saying we not need more. And the committee always said for me, no, they want, they will come, and all was coming really on every session. Really, they wanted to do anything what we learned, and I don't know how was with the Icelandic player, because the Danish player were really Vikings. What I mean, Vikings they were. So, for example, I was used for it that we are in Serbia, we has to motivate our player, must to be fire. Sometimes maybe we need to be loud. These players were self-motivated. When we were putting our hands like, I don't know, let's say the club name, they were shouting like Vikings. I was just watching them like this. And what I was learning from them, what I'm teaching for my other local players in abroad. I had an import player in my second club who not wanted to follow me so much, because he was a player that I want to finish more one-on-one, give me more free time. And what happened? Our local players realized when we start to win that this tactic what I'm pushing, it's great, and they start to help me. How they were helping me? On the timeout, when this import player was not watching me, the local players were saying for them, hey, look this, it will be good, we are doing. And when we finished the timeout, the captain of the team was hugging this import player and saying, look, coach said, you will going there, you are doing this, you are making it, and we are winning it. And it was for me that kind of help as a coach that I was surprised. So I have also a very nice thinking about the Scandinavian working ethic. This I was not feeling, let's say, in some other countries. So you was now talking about England. Please tell for us, for our viewers, what is the connection between you and some two NBA head coaches, Nurse and Finch, because you was making great players, you was working with great players, but also the quality of the coach, if producing also the new generation of coaches.
Okay. I have to contradict for you first. It was not me who made Nick Nurse as a coach
Yes.
and Chris Finch as a coach. Okay, so just before it would be, oh, here is Laszlo and talking, he made
Yes, but mentoring.
I did. Let's start with Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse was a young coach with a club when I arrived to the UK, and I was given a assistant coach, a British, but he was like, for example, his club went to the European Cup, and they had to go to play in Yugoslavia during the conflict. And then his wife said, "You cannot go." And they asked me to go with his club, and I went down, and so I said, I mean, this is not the real deal. I mean, if you are with the national team and we have to go to trouble spot, we have to go to trouble spot. And there was Nick Nurse winning with one club, then he changed club, and he was at Derby at the time, and then he was winning at Manchester as well. And I said, oh, if somebody is able to go from one franchise to another one and bringing to the top, then that's the other young coaches. There is not a danger if a smart guy, a talented one, is helping you. It helps you. It is like, there is the sniper. The sniper could be very good, but the marker says that's the target.
Yeah.
And therefore I took him, and he was an outstanding assistant as a human being, successful coach by his own, but he did what I said. You just do the warm-up. I do this at this half court, you do that at that half court. We discuss things, very good communication between us. And we were together for 4 years. And he was a kind of person who was sitting next to me and whispering. He says, "Oh, coach, I don't like this five what is on the court. I should do different." And then I, what he's talking about. Oh, coach, we should do something. And sometimes I listened, sometimes I overruled, because at the end you are the head coach. Now the big thing and because he was much, much younger than me, when I overruled, and let's say we lost, he didn't go to the players, "Oh, I told him, but he didn't do it." You understand? So
Yes.
here I detected a great human quality, right? He was ambitious, no question about it, but he was absolutely loyal. Another story. We are losing badly to somebody. I don't remember exactly. It happened. And timeout, everything, what substitutions, game goes same ways. And he says to me, "Laszlo, get a technical foul. It maybe shakes up the team." And then I said, I never used to get deliberately a technical foul.
Yes.
And I said, "Come on, Nick." So, "Coach, no problem. Get a technical on me." "Okay, go ahead." So did some scandal, technical foul came, team got a little bit. You understand? So
Yes.
so it was a great cooperation. When he said it was not my cake, but then he took the responsibility, and then I knew that this is the guy. And of course, we built up beyond the basketball court a friendship which still exists, and we communicate until this day. And when he won with Toronto Raptors the NBA championship and elected as coach of the year, then he wrote a book, and he sent a copy of the book, and on the first page, "Thank you, you were the greatest for me," and I still have on my shelf. And that's something what you get. And he was, when he left the UK, then he went to this feeder league in the NBA and won title with two different setups. So, so what I would say, I didn't make him a coach, but I discovered the talent and
Yes.
picked
Yep.
the talent for my benefit.
Exactly.
Okay, Chris Finch. I arrived to the United Kingdom and national team coach, and of course start to build up and visit the clubs. I go to Sheffield Sharks and on a game, and next to me the owner, Yuri Matishan was his name, and I told him, I see a player playing very good on a backcourt, excellent passing, can shoot the ball. And I say, Yuri, where did you get this Yugo? I mean, Yugoslavian player. And he says, he's not Yugo, he is American. I said, an American passing the ball and shooting? Because at that time, that was the isolation play. Give it to
Yes.
Shaquille
Exactly.
O'Neal, turn it in. I said, well, I definitely thought that he's a Yugoslav. I mean, this is how these guys are playing. So that was Chris Finch. And that was his first year. So I followed his playing career, and then he became a coach on that team. And of course, after that, was very successful. And when Nick left, or still was Nick with me, and then I invited him to be the second, and mainly he did the scouting jobs. So he flew out. He had very good vision. Playing experience, if you want to be a top level coach, is important. I think. You cannot learn the basketball from the books.
Yes.
Yep.
So you must have a feel of the game, because then you will understand the players more. And so he was very good, and of course he went on his own way in the States. We are still in touch and we talk. And on one of our very, I call him, between us we call him Ringfish, because his angling is his mania. He goes to Iceland for fishing and every.
Uh-huh.
So before like big games, I used to send him or call him or talk to him now. Come on, put a big bait before Denver, so you can fish them out. And two seasons in a row they killed Denver with Jokic, which is something. And I said, well, great fishing. Now comes the next new bait. So this is how we correspond with each other. But the very big thing, what I rate him very highly, in Minnesota, that's a cold place. That's a real cold place. In winter,
Yeah.
people don't go out in the town. So there are many sports, and among them the basketball. But there are women team. So Minnesota is not the friendliest in terms of weather. And there was this political tension, you might remember, during the Trump era recently with ICE, when they killed that woman who was absolutely innocent and had no intention to harm, and the ICE agent shot her in close range. And then on the next game, absolute full house in Minnesota, Chris Finch walks to the middle and he says, I condemn this violence. This cannot happen. And we should, as a team, as an individual, shoulder with the victims. It cannot go on. And then I immediately sent him a message saying, Chris, I'm proud of you, not because you are an NBA coach, because you are an outstanding human being
Yes.
who could stand up against the violence. So I was lucky with these two, but again saying that I was lucky, I didn't make them, maybe contributed some factors in their professional development, but very proud of them.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
again, I used to tell them, well, guys, I'm so happy that you made it to the I used to call it the Mount Everest of basketball. You made it. I'm very happy, and I'm not jealous at all. No professional jealousy, except one thing: your salary. But I'm a retired person now, so
Yes, yes.
Exactly.
but we still communicate. I invited them to Hungary, and again to show the personal attachment to each other, which I'm again grateful, because then they could say, "Oh, buzz off, it's history." No, they came to Hungary. Both of them made a clinic for the Hungarian coaches.
Yes.
So
In page.
1 year, Nick, you were there.
Yes, I was there. I enjoyed it.
So 1 year Nick Nurse, the next year Chris Finch. So I'm proud of them, but they made their own way through their talent. The thing is, a lot of people have talent, but very few has the ability to develop that talent. Okay, so this is how I would summarize, and I have others to be proud of. Like this year, Coach of the Year in women basketball in the UK is Vanessa Ellis, who also was the assistant coach when England made the Final Four in Women European Championship, which was unimaginable before. And she was my team captain, the only one England women team. That's the only women team what I had in my life, because again, there was a change in the presidency of the association, and she said, "You coach also the women, not just the men." So for a short period, I had to coach both teams. But I was that scared at the beginning, because she told me, "Did you coach women team before?" No, I said, "I never." Okay, you go and coach them, but no love affair. I said, "Well, okay, Betty, no love affair." And at the end, when I said that I have to resign, it was impossible, because European Championship was at the same time. So you had to go either with the men team or with the women team. So I resigned, and I said, "Betty, I didn't keep the promise, because I'm in love with all of them. I really love them." The commitment, I know your next question, men and women basketball, but put the question forward.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, we will putting it, but first I would love to put something else before. I'm already thankful what kind of experience you are sharing for our viewers. This is for young coaches. It's great to listen you. Now I would love, like a dentist, to put some information and detail out of you. So I would be interested for it, because how we were listening you was really adapting. You was really see the good players, the good coaches who can work with you. But tell for our viewers, as a young coach and as an experienced coach on club level or on national team level, what kind of mistakes you did, from what, for example, the next generation can learn about it, and that you can share with us.
Yes, I'm glad to share with us, and I did my career enormous mistakes. Okay, some of them. First of all, there was a player, and it was at my first professional club, Chapel, and he was an outstanding shooter. It was before the 3-point time, and but he was like mumbling also, and everybody said, "Yeah, okay, he scores 24, 28, but he's otherwise in every aspect he's stupid." And you know how his team hierarchy and team, and uh, and I'm ashamed now. I joined the team, sometimes cracking jokes on him that anyway, this is a one-way team, a one-way street. You just go that way. Don't think about it because that just confuse you. And similar type of jokes about his mental state and ability on and off court as well. So off court he was also. Now, today, I know that his symptom was autism, severe autism. And I did not recognize that.
Mhm.
Okay, there were not a lot of publications and things about that, but massive and embarrassing mistake till this day. He passed away and turned to alcoholic after basketball. So, so all that was a massive mistake. Another one, European qualification. We already stepped up with Iceland to the big boys club, and the qualification is in Anadia, Portugal, and we are in Iceland. And again, the political leaders come to me and coach. We cannot afford to send a team 4 days before the competition. We just doesn't have the resources. You go there, you play, and there were Israel, Hungary, so there were serious teams in a group, and your first time meeting with those after qualifying from the promotion cup, and I said, well, okay, let's go. Anyway, first game, we off the plane in the morning, we go to play. One of my life biggest defeat, 42 points from Belgium. And then I started to think what I did wrong. And in Iceland, at that day, there was minus 12 and snowing. In Portugal, there was plus 32 and sunshine. You understand?
Yes.
40 centigrade different for your body. And you playing top level basketball. And I have a doctorate on physiology, exercise physiology. So huge, massive mistake. And from there, that point, I go to conflict over those things with political leaders every single time. So what you learn. Second thing for young coaches again, my team was superior, challenger for the top title. And every country has national cup. So national cup qualification tournament who goes on, and we were against a Division Two team. And I said to the two foreign players, "Oh, don't dress, sit down. The rest can manage it." And we were in, excuse my language, deep shit during the game because the second division team was highly motivated and it was already the second half. So I said to two foreign players, "Come on, dress quickly and get in." And they played terrible, and we lost, and we were out from the cup. So for the rest of my life, you never ever underestimate your opponent and their motivation. No matter the ranking, no matter how big navy the country have an air force, never ever underestimate. And I learned it for the rest of my life. Okay, so I made three. Don't ask me more, because then I will look as a very bad person. So
No, no, no.
scholars will ask that what the hell he is talking to us.
Yes, 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 yes. And now we are coming for that topic, what was very interesting in the previous episode with Stella Calcido, who was also making great results in the UK with London Lions, winning the Euro Cup with the women team. And with her, we were talking little about differences between men and women basketball. From your side, what are the characteristics between men and women basketball? Also, I would love that you would share with our viewers the psychological aspect, for example, how was
Yes.
maybe talking with the players and motivating them, for example, different.
I don't know, you two, did you ever coach women team or not?
I was also women and men, not than just men.
No,
No.
no.
Anyway, first of all, let's go down to mathematical things, and I'm not sexist, but reality is reality. The the man game is a vertical game. The woman game is a horizontal game. Okay, so no matter what they say, this is the so-called basic reality. Yeah, okay, now there are a couple of girls who can dunk now, but it's still a basic difference between the two games. For coaches, that's also coming down from the men game to the woman game, not a big issue. Adaptability in coaching. But if you spend a lot, I mean decades, in the woman game and you're successful, and then you go to the man game, you have a big chance to fail. Not sure, but big chance that you don't really, you try to do those, working on those perimeter games and everything, which is not corresponding with the verticality of the man game. Okay, so that's the other thing. Now comes, here you go, you coaching a man team, and I coached many NBA players, as you can imagine, because they came for the national team. It's on the training session, even the biggest of the big, they always know how to put the gearbox on economical speed, no matter what you try. Okay, they always know. They always know the way. My experience with the women team, you say them climb up on the wall, they climb up on the wall on training. So training session to be with a woman team for me was a very, very positive experience. Okay. Now comes the game. In the game, and I have a favorite topic of the Maslow hierarchy theory, you know, every team itself has a hierarchy. What you build among each other, who is the top of the flock and other. The coach has a hierarchy which is different very often from the players' hierarchy. So it comes to the men game, and the social contact is not always a love affair, not within the men game in the players. So here we go. Two players doesn't like really each other, but we play for the win. And here is that guy whom I don't really like, but he is under. So assist, pass, basket, great. Woman, social networking. So as a coach, you have to measure up that hierarchy and social networking in a woman team. Here is the game. Here are you. I have the ball. Oh, that bitch passed to the other side. It happens. So that is solvable again if you know your players. So here is my next answer to every young coaches. If you really dream about that, you have to be a full-time coach, because just think about that, what so many aspects of the game we were talking about, and that you cannot do part-time. You can do for a little while at the beginning, but if your goal is up there, then so that's what I would say main things. Now, of course, somebody could say, but Laszlo, come on, giving a back screen in a woman game and in a man game is the same. Yes, that's correct. But coming off that back screen is very different that you do an alley hoop or you just take a middle range shot.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's immediately you have to know that you go for the alley hoop or you go for the mid range shot from the very
Yeah.
same, yes, similar back screen. Here we go. Okay, so this is how I would characterize the major things. Yeah, well, we can go on and on and on many other, but you have to earn the trust of both, and to earn a trust of a coach. And this is why Nick and Chris also was great. You have to go to the extra mile with the players. You know, and let me go back a little bit to Yugoslavia. The very strong language, the extremely aggressive training conduct. Ivanovic, is one of the example that the player put in a contract. If Ivanovic, the coach, the contract is not valid.
Yes, that we know that in the EuroLeague. This was we know also in Serbia.
So okay, it's again for the training session, and I agree with the Ivanovic system for the training session. And for the game, human rights are suspended. I'm sorry to say that. But the player has to understand that when the game and the training session is over, I am ready to go for him the extra mile. I listen why his girlfriend dumped him. I listen why his divorce happening and what is my opinion. I help him to find a lawyer. I go to the president that he got a speeding ticket because he had to break through the traffic jam to get to the game. You know, on one with one of my NBA player got ill and needed antibiotics, and there were no antibiotics. Getting antibiotics is a problem. So I went at the airport at the pharmacy. I showed my passport. I'm a doctor, so they gave the antibiotics. So you understand?
Writing doctor.
You solve their problems beyond the training and the game. So that's again comes full time because you must able to do the extra mile for them.
Yes. And how we are listening your experience now, maybe one of the best questions for our coaches. By your thinking in the modern time, who is a good coach in the youth category? Who is a good coach for you in the senior basketball? And what are the main characteristics of a basketball coach today by your thinking that this is for an example?
All right. First of all, regardless is it youth or senior, there is in high level sport, and now under 23, under 18, it's already high level. There is no shortcut anywhere worth going. There is no shortcut. That's full stop. There is no shortcut anywhere worth going. Now comes that you must have different things when you're developing a player and when you at senior level preparing player. So we have again within the job two kind of different things: developing and on the top preparing. So as a coach, it's not enough to know one thing 100% better than, let's say, the other. As a coach, you have to know 100 things 1% better than the others. Then you have a key, but that's only the key. Knowledge is only the key to the success. Then comes the delivery. Now, how you deliver. And for young players, again, you must have the physiological knowledge because we look usually for taller players, right? Primarily, because we get truckload of guards. Uh, so they are anatomically different at the moment. So what kind of load you can put on them individually and what kind as a squad. So that's again a special knowledge. So again, we are talking about the coaching profession, and within that profession, this is already the fifth thing, which is slightly different from the rest, and it's still basketball coaching. So developing requires very meticulous physiological knowledge that what kind of load I put on the player. Now, technically, of course, individual training sessions are very important at young age. I mean, you have, like I had Steve Buckner from the Lakers, who was at that time Magic Johnson's son. Of course, I don't do with him one-on-one session, but quite interestingly, of that player said, "Coach, give me an individual shooting program written what I can use, including the drills." You understand? So the pro player has the desire to get the
Yeah.
knowledge from you, to get that 1%
Yes.
more out from you, a real pro player. And again, no matter is it a developing player or an NBA player, when it comes to the tip off, each wants to play.
Yeah.
Each wants. We, as young ones, we wanted to play, not sit on the bench and waving with a towel. So
Exactly.
each wants to play. And that must be on your mind that the playing time is the reward for the work.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, for our viewers, we can say something interesting. What I was also hearing in one of the podcasts that we were talking about few times about Duško Vujošević, and now I not remember for which player he was going to watch. Like he was going to watch one player, and he's going with his assistants, and what you said with the towel, he's asking who is this guy who is sitting on the bench and with this towel with so much energy cheering their teammates that even he's on the bench but not playing, and this was Jan Vesely. And then Duško Vujošević said, I need this player who is with this doing with the towel. This I was listening, I think, a few days ago in some podcast. How is interesting coaches that recognizing players, but this is coming with a difference. And from your experience, Laszlo, I would love to get the answer from you because you mentioned the aggressive language on the training. You can little compare East Europe with West Europe to holding the training, to communicate with the players. What are the differences? And for example, in West Europe, how this aggressive language, for example, can't work, that meanwhile in East Europe, in some countries are still present.
Okay. First of all, again, between the two genders, you have to be very different. I mean, there are certain things what you cannot say to a female team. No way, simply. The aggressive language could be motivational, but could destroy the players as well. Okay. This whole profession is about to talk to the players that they can do something what at the beginning they don't believe that they are able to. You understand? So you say that you will do it, and they say, "Oh, come on, coach, that's that's no way. I know myself. I know way." And then you have to convince them some way, on some form, that they can do it. And if they deliver, you tap them on the shoulder that you see, I was right. You could do it, and that's a kind of reward. Now, to achieve that on a motivational level, you must have to be able to use strong language. Okay, you can soften it, say, "Excuse me, my language, this is shit," and so there are ways to to soften that, but unfortunately, that's a kind of tool in our profession. Now, what level can you do? Again, you yourself should know that how much trust of your players you earned. If you do it at the first week of after your appointment, you are in a cul-de-sac on the way to suck.
Yes, yes.
So after a while, you work together. The player learn you, and you shout, but you don't always shout. So it's like playing on a piano. And in Western Europe, especially when this political correctness thing came, is more and more strict. You can, with an inappropriate remark, you can lose your job very quickly, even if you are a good coach. Now, let me tell you something. Traveling on a bus, and I hear, I'm already like year 7 or year 8. I hear players, black players, talking to each other, saying, "You nigger, you should do this." The other one says, "You nigger, you should do it." And I hear this word, and I know that this is a massive offense. And in our sport, race relations are very good. So I call the player called Yorick Williams. Yorick, what is this language? What you are using when you're talking to each other, calling nigger? And then again, it's a learning path for me. He says, "Coach, when we talk to each other, black players, this is not an offense. It is like when you say on everyday talking to another that you do stupid things. Why you do it?" And I said, "But Yorick, I still feel that this is inappropriate." And then that player, I helped him a lot anyway, put his hand on my shoulder. "You know what, coach? If you call me a nigger, it doesn't bother me." And I think very few white coach get that. And I knew, of course, I never did. So make no mistake, I never did. And basketball is a comfortable race relation environment because there is no issues, and I'm proud of that sport. That this is no issue that what religion, what race, what you are. Okay, so these are the things regarding the language. You still know that what phase of the job are you, that what language. As you earn more trust, you can be more harsher with the language. But if you don't have the trust, you are in trouble if you use inappropriate language. Now, of course, sometimes I refused after a while. There was a time when they put the microphone, the television on you, so they time out and whatever. So I said, "Well, this is not good. We are in stress. We are in emotions. We sometimes want to shake up the team. We sometimes that's not appropriate. That the wide public can hear that what you say during the pressure. But the major thing, you because what you do. Remember, you are playing time. I am at the limit of my physical ability. I sweat, I run out of breath, and this person still pushing me over the limit. You are not at the moment, you are not in love with that person. After that, you understand that why it was done. So it's the same player understand that why did you use that language what you used, because you want to push him over the limit, because when you over the limit that means progress. You go a little bit up to the limit and then you progress and then you again and again. So it's a tool what you really have to select properly.
Well, I can say coming my last question, and after I would love that Mladen also you are making some conclusion by your side as a top pro player what you was hearing. I know that Mladen lot of things now first time you are hearing from Laszlo and maybe you are a little shocked how he was really efficient in that kind of interesting countries. I was following him a lot in the last 15 years, I can say, and I was really enjoying our talking. And my last question for you, Laszlo, would be because we can say that you have a mission in basketball because you was a club coach, national team head coach, also teaching on the university basketball coaches. What is your basketball mission? Also, what you would love maybe to achieve more in basketball, and this basketball mission you can also say for yourself maybe a mark like what you think like how was your efficient, because we can say that you was how saying so you was in Middle East, you was in Scandinavian countries, in England, in Hungary with national teams. Your players, your coaches were moving from other countries for sure. Your knowledge, your experience is going with them. So this is really a great basketball mission. What you can say about for us?
I also have from different countries Coach of the Year awards. So, but
Yes.
now I feel one, if you want one sentence, what I put for almost like a slogan, but it's not Mayday Parade. It's you must have high goals, then you get great rewards. Okay, and the short-term failures should not deter you from the high goals, because short-term failures happens. You know, falling down happens. Standing up and carry on is living. So, so these are the main things. What I want now, and what I truly enjoy, and I'm sure that you felt that I'm talking to you guys. It's immediately put me in again. You know, the spark, the fire.
We are feeling that
Here
you
we
are in
go.
fire.
Here we go. So if you have those high goals for the great rewards, then I'm here to give. No, and I'm not forcing my ideas, but I think I learned from the mistakes what I did as well. And it's not sure that it's at the moment suitable for the listener, but perhaps certain things are. So do the selection, pick the right, what is right for you. And also, walking on the street and I step in accidentally on the dog shit, then I can warn you that the next who follows me will not step on the same shit. Because that's real. That's real. I step in, my shoe is dirty. Come on, listen to me. In your case, is the same. Don't step into that. Now, what I told to you, let's say, going for the, this play horn. This is also now. I can't tell that you have to play horn. You may play flax. You may do horn and flax combined. This is your creativity. Take what I can offer and add something it, develop further. That will make a coach a real deal. Now, I also used to say to students who I teach MSc students, so the last one on the coaching, I say, if you put your ass and to listen, and if you calculate that how much you can miss legally and still get the degree, then this profession is not for you. Truly, frankly, then this profession is not for you. Because if you have those high goals, then you sacrifice everything. And I sacrificed a lot, especially at the beginning, to get bigger and bigger knowledge. And that's how I could summarize today's discussion. Now, come on, Mr. Secular, as you were so silent all time.
Now he's coming.
Well, I will be completely honest. Like always, I really learn a lot from you today. You share with us amazing experience of your basketball adventure. I can, in 3 words, say something about your life, your basketball career, that in first part, you start as a young coach, so you are able and ready to learn from different kind of, let's say, people and coaches, all the aspects of the game. Then you earn your respect in basketball society, and then you return like you're doing right now, learning the young coaches and giving great advices. For me, I see you as a person who really see the basketball from so many different aspects, and you read it very well. So in the same time, you are great in psychology, thinking about your basketball players. As you can share with us, you actually were coach females and males at the same time, which we must agree it's not easy, it's difficult. So you are, let's say, very, how to say, ready to adjust and be prepared for all the kind of circumstances that can be bad. Like you share with us, you have for sure, and you learn from your mistakes that you made during your career. But for me, you really share with us so many good things that I personally, some of them didn't hear, and this was really great lecture for me. I'm very honest. Who knows me that I am straight guy, that I'm saying direct to the face, everybody, my opinion. But for me, the thing that you really impressed me when you said you can't be, for example, for the players, that extra mile. That's how you actually are their mentor in all aspects of life. It's not only about learning about basketball skills during some, let's say, some drills that you are working during your career that you really, of course, adjust. Depends, are you coaching top level teams or you coaching teams that they should develop in the top level? So you were coach of national teams that really, I mean, to be honest, before you, I didn't hear about their basketball at all, almost. I'm not to disrespect anybody. I'm not saying that they're underdogs big time, but they really are kind of, let's say, they belongings from game of basketball very small. So you make them, let's say you give them top scene that everybody can hear about them. And then, of course, they play great. Now they have NBA players. They have so many versatiles that they can say that you actually done great job. For me, uh, uh, the way that you approach all the practices now, let's say modern basketball, it's a little bit changing, my opinion. The players, I think they're becoming a little bit softer. Players, I'm not also the guy who actually, I'm not a guy who will give big democracy to the players, let's say like this. But sometimes they confuse democracy with creativity. You must give your players as a coach creativity, but you must put the foot on the line and said, it's enough. This is the way that we're going to play. I am the responsible guy. I'm going to lead you guys to top levels. Just listen to me, and we're going to share this adventure together. And you will be, let's say, on the peak of the mountain. So that's for me is amazing. I really admire you. I'm very honest. Hunter knows me. And I will also say about Chris Finch, because I have a chance to play against him when he was coach in Belgium. He was coaching Bre, coaching a first division team. I play against him a couple of times, and we share some kind of, let's say, even some kind of dirty words and everything, because he's kind of, let's say, guy who want. I will not say to have lights on him, but he want to be, that guy. And in his team was two amazing American players, Doron Penkins, who after that Brie adventure he goes to Maccabi Tel Aviv, and Dor Fisher. After Brie adventure he goes to Real Madrid. So I think that I said enough about his way of thinking, and I really admire him that he really reached top level of NBA, because he, like you said, he swept the Denver Nuggets 2 times in the playoffs 2 years in a row. So he really doing great job, and I think that be able to work with him and, for example, give him be his mentor. It's really amazing, and really big thanks you today that you really share your story with us, and I'm for sure that I have some notes. I learned a lot today, so thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Mladen, and just one more thing. In the coaching path, a lot of things changed. Previously in the United States, if you were not coaching NCAA level, you were considered nothing. If you were coaching, European coaching experience was considered as 00. That was the American coaching community. It's no secret.
Yeah.
Now almost every NBA team has a European staff member. Look at these two who coached in England and Belgium and G League and whatever. So it doesn't matter that what kind of country you are coming from, and especially here in Europe, you learn how to work against the tide. There are so many problems come to you face what doesn't face.
Exactly.
Because the NCAA now can pay also, so the resources are also non-limited.
Exactly.
So it's also changed. So when the coaches have ambition, it doesn't matter was he coaching in Denmark or Belgium or the Netherlands. If he wants, he has the chance.
Yes.
You're right. I completely agree with you.
Yes. Laszlo, thank you for your time. I'm just saying the last thing, that what was your last influence on me? That was in the season 2023-24 in Ireland with Moi Tolka Rovers, and I was needed somehow to make them tough in defense, and I wanted to find some kind of drill, what you said, little hard to put professionality in amateur conditions, and you was holding one clinic. I watched on the YouTube what you did on the Hungarian National Basketball Academy, and it was a drill that first one player one-on-one, then 2 and 3 players were throwing the ball, and you need to run behind the ball and to make some basketball stance, and sometime later some kind of different variations. And I must to say for you, that was in Ireland perfect, because players were enjoying, it was challenging, it was interesting. So you had my last influence in that year, but also I was following before you. So just this to share with you and with our viewers. So thank you very much for your time. Big respect really that you shared a lot of things with us. It was great really to listen for players and for coaches as well. And in the name of Game Changer, we are wishing for you all the best and great health.
Okay, thank you very much. All the
Thank
best,
you very-
gentlemen, and good
All
luck
the
on
best.
these-
All
on
the
those
best,
future
Doctor. Thank you.
interviews.
Thank you.
Hopefully, it will be beneficial for young people. Now, this digital age really have a great advantage to get the proper knowledge accessible to everybody. Thank you again. I was honored to be with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All the best for
Bye-bye.
everybody. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.